Welcome back to me 4 million years later. I was reminded the other day that I do videos. I forget this stuff. You know, you come to work, you try and get all your messages, you try and do some work, and then it's the end of the day, and you go home and live your life. You play in your bands, and you run 2 businesses, and blah, 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 blah. I don't know how YouTube people do it. Maybe they make time, and this is me making time for you. Mainly because I'm sick of being guilted about this thing. So, we're going to get it done. And I had to cut up these little, I've taken a bunch of little videos because what we're talking about is the pick guard, the Scratchplate, on the Squier Mustang. Last time I was bemoaning how it was not quite fitting right. And what I've decided is we're going to fill some holes and re-drill them and make it work. Okay? So I was debating whether I should show you the process of me scanning a scratch plate and then tracing it out and then CNC cutting it. And then like I would on a client guitar, but you don't have a CNC, so what's the point? It's cool, but you're not going to be able to do that. So what you are going to be able to do is this. So I've taken a bunch of little videos. Sorry, they're just on my phone, and I'll put them up because we're going to talk about how I made this look all right, I think. So this first video, I've already fit the scratch plate and mounted it to the holes that I think fit. And there are a few that don't match up. So we'll address that. So let me click play. So you can see the ones at the top, me pointing to them, they don't line up well enough to use without the screw going meh. But the main issue that I had was the fit of this control plate. It doesn't really match that scratch plate area. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of a trim on the scratch plate because that's easy to cut. It's just plastic. And then we'll re-drill the holes for the control plate and make it look good. And then it will be like nobody did anything, ideally. So I've got a piece of tape on there, and it's just so I can mark it. This is me realizing that my pencil is out of lead, but luckily I have way too many pencils. So I'm just making a mark. Maybe you won't be able to see it, but I can see it. So that's all that matters. I'm just sort of tracing the outline of where I think that control plate should be, and it is over on a lip by about maybe 1-2 millimeters. So I'm going to have to trim that back so the control plate fits nicely. Okay, and now I'm thinking about it. I don't think I actually did that on camera. Anyway, so what I do have to do, and what I did on camera, was show you how I fill the holes. So there was probably like 4 or 5 holes, 5, 6 holes that I had to fill. So I'll show you how I do that. Now, for this guitar, I actually just used, it was like bamboo skewer. I buy a lot of skewers because, I mean, if this was a valuable guitar, then I would go to the trouble of making a little plug that was the same grain direction. But it's not. And you can do this. Get some skewers. I'll show you what I do. I have a little like the cap of a water bottle. I use them as little dishes. So I've got that full of glue, and that's tight bond glue, which I will use. I'll just play the video. So there's the holes. I've just got to fill up a few of them, but I'll show you one because otherwise it's pretty boring. So I've sort of trimmed the tip of that. So it's got a taper on it, but the taper is the same as what a screw taper would be. So it fits in the hole nicely. I just dip it in the wood glue, and then sort of like massage it into the hole. And that's it, really. I do cut it off. There we go. And then I'll actually give it a tap to make sure it's in the hole nicely. And then that is it. That is all I do. I filled a bunch of them. And then I let it dry. And because it's tight bond, I think I left it overnight. You've got to leave it a while. You don't want to drill into something that's wet. You also don't want to use super glue if you can avoid it. It does dry really quick, but unless you're in a pinch, it doesn't have very good, they call shear strength to the glue. So it'll work, and maybe it'll be fine because a pickguard screw doesn't hold a lot of weight. But generally don't use super glue as a structural item where you can avoid it. So boring. Here's a video of me trimming the skewer that came out. Okay. So I'll use some little side cutters. These are side cutters that have died, but they're okay for trimming little bits of wood. So you sort of cut off as much as you can, and then I use a really, really sharp, it's a Japanese knife, to just sort of pare it back. And I know that I won't scratch the surface, right? Because I know it's sort of smooth and it's extremely sharp. But also notice that I'm cutting in towards the cavity. So if something does go wrong and I do accidentally scratch it, which I won't because I've done this enough, but if I did, the scratch would be into the guitar and then the scratch plate would hide it. If you do it the other way and you accidentally gouge your guitar, you're going to look like a fool with a scratched guitar. So if you do it that way, I'm sure there's other ways to do it. That's just how I chose to do it. Make sure your knife or chisel or whatever you're using is very sharp. Don't do it with a blunt thing. Don't do anything with a blunt anything. Anyway, so hopefully that makes sense. Essentially, you fill the hole with wood, preferably hardwood, so bamboo's quite hard. Glue it, let it dry, cut it flush. The end. Okay. So stupidly, I didn't film myself cutting the scratch plate back. But scratch plate material, here's some. Scratch plate material is essentially like maybe 3mm plastic. Okay. And this is one I've got to make, probably this afternoon. But it's really easy to cut. So what I use, and I should have shown you this, but I'm just working and trying to get things done, and I forget that I'm supposed to show people stuff. So what did I use to cut it? I didn't cut it. I used a file, and generally I use a sort of like half round file, flat on one side, round on the other, because lots of scratch plates or pick guards or whatever you want to call them, curvy. And sometimes you need the curve and sometimes you need the flat. This is to rough in the thing. So I'll get quite close to that line that I just drew. And then I'll go down to smaller files, little versions of the same sort of thing. Maybe a round one, maybe a half flat again, just to sort of finesse it to get it as close as possible. And then I actually use this knife. I use another Japanese knife. This is a violin making thing. And I just sort of scrape the edges like I was, I don't know. What do? Peel an apple or something. That sort of thing, just to get it nice and clean, and not a jaggedy file edge, because that looks stupid. But that's all I did. No tricks, just time, and be careful. And don't rush it, and don't use a power tool. Don't be like, I've got a Dremel. Like, I've got 4 Dremels. Don't do that, because like the second that you rush it, something bad will happen, and then you'll be getting another one, or having a guitar that looks stupid. Anyway, so I will also sand it a little bit at the end just to make it look more cohesive with the whole thing. But anyway, this is me, and I've done it, I think. Playing this video. What am I doing? I'm probably just thinking this video is not working. Wait up. Sorry. So, I've cut it. I have. And I've filled those holes. Wait up. Oh no, I've skipped a step entirely. So, I've not only filled the holes and cut the holes. Sorry. I've cut the scratch plate. I've actually drilled the holes. Okay. I should have done that too, because this is the thing I wanted to show you. If you are drilling new holes for your scratch plate, you've got to get it right in the center of that, of the screw hole. Otherwise it'll look stupid or it'll be wonky. Okay. And how do you do that? You do that with a thing called a VIX bit. I don't know if this will show up on camera, but essentially it's also called a hinge bit. I'll put up a picture. And it's kind of got an inverse countersunk or sink. It's domed. And it's made for drilling, like literally hinges into doors. So the countersink goes into the countersink of the hole, and there's a drill bit inside it. So I don't know if I can show you that, but as you drill it in, the drill pokes through, and it goes perfectly in the middle. Very, very worthwhile purchase. They're a couple of bucks. Get some. That's my pro tip. And then, wait up. So I've done that, and I did that on the drill press. That's probably why I didn't film it, because it's annoying to do. You could probably use a hand drill. Just be real careful that you're doing it vertically, or perpendicular to the body. Otherwise, your screw will be wonky and it'll look stupid. So this video, what am I doing? I'm also showing you that I've countersunk. So see that weird tool? I'll pause that. This is this weird tool. This is another countersinking tool. I've used it before in a video. I use it every day. And that's just, so around the body where I've drilled that hole, I usually like to countersink that hole, just so when you drill into the finish, or you screw into the finish, the screw doesn't actually crack the finish. Like, it's got enough room for the thread to pass the hard finish without cracking it. So I've done that on all the holes that I needed to do that with. And also I put more shielding paint on, because I noticed in that last video that it looked a bit crap. So I did more shielding paint, which we will come to. Anyway, replaying this. So now I'm putting in the screws for the first time into, what you want to say, virginal timber. I'll use a little bit of wax. It's actually beeswax, I think, that I've got in a little tin. And I just push the screw into it just to sort of ease it into the wood without snagging, or I just do it. So it's boring watching me screw things in, but essentially, you just go through and fit your screws. And I think at some stage I've realized that in that box in the screws that came on the guitar, there's different colors, not colors, but maybe it's because it's been a year. They've tarnished differently and they look really stupid. So I've sort of had to go and get some more chromed screws so they don't look so stupid. See, that one looks wrong. Hence my surprise. So that's not going to stay there, and we'll find all matching screws so we don't look more like a crazy person. So yeah, screwing it. This is really boring content. So you can see when I did my shielding paint that you can see the paint. That's no good. So I'll actually, I'll clean off that paint. This is a really boring bit. I only videoed the boring parts. This is why I don't do YouTube full time, because I'm no good at it. But anyway, you get the idea. Put the screws in. Good work. Okay, next video. Next video is me. So I've got to clean off that paint. So I'm just using a Q-tip with some alcohol on it, just to sort of see where I need to get to. And then later, I took that plate off and cleaned it up properly. But just so I know where the line is, because without scoring a line or something stupid, if I clean it off well enough, then I can just clean it more. That's just isopropyl alcohol. Do not use that if you've got a nitro guitar. Don't use it. That's the end of that story. So I went ahead and did that. This is me taking it off so I can do it properly. And I've done it. So the next stage is the best stage. So I've done it. I've fit the control plate. I've fit the scratch plate. All the screws are in. Looks pretty good. And this is the most important step of pretty much getting any new guitar, in my opinion. So we'll watch this. This is the best. This is the best. So I hope you're ready. Look at this. It's so good. Loosen stuff if you can't get it off properly. But so satisfying. When I was a child, I went to one of my parents' friends' house, and they were watching a movie series called V, which they remade since, and I can really remember it was about lizard people, I think. And I remember as a child watching them pull their lizard faces off. No, they were pulling the human faces off, and they were lizards. That's almost exactly the same as removing plastic from a pickguard, at least for me. I say that's important. Just do it. Just do it. Don't leave plastic on, because it goes bad, and then it's stuck, and then you've got the weird sticky. I've seen people when they're very proud of their plastic coated guitars. Don't know. After about 5 years, it goes quite wrong. So you'll have a mess to clean up. Anyway, this is my mess to clean up. So guitar's looking good. Now it's I'll do another setup on it, because it's been a while. I'll probably put some fresh strings on it, and we'll get it out. We'll get it out of my life. I'll review that video where I said leave a comment if you want it, and we'll see who gets it. But until then, thank you for bearing with me. Apologies for the delay, but when you're running a business or two, putting out content when your clients know you've got work to do on their guitars, I think is a bad look. Maybe I need to go to therapy, but this is my therapy. So apologies, and I'm going to get back to work because I've got stuff to do. And hopefully I can do a video in the coming days or weeks where we do the setup and get it out of my life. So I'm looking forward to. Anyway, good chat.